You studied for hours. You reread every line, highlighted every page. You felt confident. Then the exam starts, and your mind is a terrifying blank slate. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. And more importantly, your brain isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. The problem isn't your brain, it's the way you've been taught to use it. In the next few minutes, I'm going to explain why your brain is actually built to forget. And then I'll give you 4 science-backed strategies to make anything you learn finally stick. First, let's briefly address why your brain is built to forget. After all, that's what it feels like, isn't it? Well, it feels like a personal failure when information just evaporates. But forgetting isn't a bug, it's a feature. Back in the 1880s, a psychologist named Hermann Ebbinghaus discovered the forgetting curve. He proved that when we learn something new, our memory for it drops at a shocking speed. Within a single day, you can forget over 70% of what you just studied. After a week, that number can climb as high as 90%. This happens for a few critical reasons. First, your brain is a ruthless filtering machine. It's bombarded with information every second of every day. To keep you sane, it has to be incredibly selective about what it keeps. If you don't send a clear, powerful signal that a piece of information is vital, it gets tossed into the mental trash can. Second, most of us study passively. We reread chapters, we highlight notes, we watch lectures. This feels productive because the information becomes familiar. But cognitive scientists call this the illusion of knowledge. Familiarity is not understanding. Passive review is like walking over a patch of grass once. You might leave a faint trail, but a real, lasting path is never formed. Third, there's the myth of cramming. When you force-feed your brain an entire semester's worth of information in one night, you overwhelm its processing capacity. It's like trying to fill a water bottle with a fire hose. Most of it just splashes away. Worse, cramming robs you of sleep, which is the critical time your brain consolidates memories, moving them from short-term storage into the long-term vault. Finally, stress delivers the knockout blow. When you're anxious, your body floods with the hormone cortisol. High levels of cortisol can actively block your brain's ability to retrieve memories. It's the ultimate cruel joke. The more you stress about remembering, the harder it becomes. So, forgetting is the default. Your job isn't to fight this system, but to work with it. You have to send the right signals to convince your brain that what you're learning is worth saving. And that's exactly what these 4 strategies do. Ready to fight the forgetting curve? Our first and most powerful weapon is spaced repetition, the ultimate antidote to cramming. This is the direct opposite of cramming. Instead of studying a topic for 5 hours straight on a Sunday, you study it for 1 hour a day, for 5 days. The science is undeniable. Spacing out your learning over time is profoundly better for long-term memory. Each time you return to the material after a break, you force your brain to work a little harder to recall it. That small, productive struggle is what strengthens the neural connections. Think of it like building muscle. You wouldn't do 500 bicep curls on day 1 and expect to be strong for the whole month. Strength comes from consistency over time. Spaced repetition is that exact workout routine for your memory. The method is simple. After you learn something new, review it at increasing intervals. A basic schedule looks like this. First review, 1 day later. Second review, 3 days after that. Third review, 1 week later. And a fourth review, 2 weeks after that. These reviews can be short, just 15 minutes is often enough. The magic is in the timing. By revisiting information right as you're about to forget it, you send a clear signal to your brain. Hey, this is important. Do not delete this file. This process flattens the forgetting curve and locks information into your long-term memory. You can use a simple calendar or, better yet, flashcard apps with built-in spaced repetition algorithms. If these ideas are clicking for you, hitting that like button is a great way to let us know. It helps our channel create more content to help you learn smarter. Next up, let's transform how you study with active recall. It's time to stop being a passive observer and start building real knowledge. If spaced repetition is when you study, active recall is how you study. It's the ultimate cure for passive learning. Passive learning is letting information wash over you. Active recall is the art of pulling information out of your brain. Remember the illusion of knowledge? It comes from passive review because it feels easy. You scan the page, recognize the terms, and think, yep, got it. But an exam doesn't ask you to recognize the answer. It demands you produce it from memory. Active recall works because it forces you to practice the exact skill you need on test day. The effort of retrieval is what builds strong memories. It's the difference between watching someone lift weights and actually lifting them yourself. One makes you stronger, and it's not the one that feels easy. So how do you practice it? The moment you finish reading a chapter, close the book. Put your notes away. Then explain the main ideas out loud in your own words. This blurting method immediately exposes the gaps between what you think you know and what you actually know. It will feel hard, and that difficulty is where real learning happens. Other powerful active recall techniques include flashcards, but use them correctly. Force yourself to say the answer out loud before you turn the card over. Also, use practice tests. Don't treat these as a last-minute check. Integrate practice questions into your regular study routine. It is one of the most effective learning methods ever discovered. Finally, create your own questions. As you study, think like your professor. What would you ask about this material? Write down the questions, and later, answer them from pure memory. With active recall, you're not just checking what you know, you are actively building stronger knowledge with every single retrieval. Think you know a topic? The Feynman technique will be the ultimate test. Let's learn how to simplify to solidify our understanding. Our third strategy comes from Nobel Prize-winning physicist Richard Feynman, a man known as the Great Explainer. The Feynman technique is built on one core truth. The ultimate test of your knowledge is whether you can explain it in simple terms. If you can't break down an idea for a beginner, you probably don't understand it yourself. You might just be hiding behind a wall of complicated jargon you've memorized. This technique is a super-powered form of active recall that forces you to organize your thoughts and pinpoint your exact weaknesses. Here's the 4-step process. 1. Choose your concept. Take a blank sheet of paper and write the topic at the top. 2. Teach it to a newbie. Write out an explanation as if you were teaching it to a middle schooler. Use your own words and simple analogies. Avoid jargon. 3. Find the gaps. Eventually, you will get stuck or realize you can't quite connect two ideas. These are your knowledge gaps. This is the goal. Now go back to your source material and relearn that specific point until you can explain it simply. 4. Simplify and refine. Review your explanation. Is it still too wordy? Are you using lazy jargon? Polish your language until it is so clear and simple that anyone could understand it. Teaching what you learn forces you to process information on a much deeper level, building a rock-solid foundation of understanding. Finally, let's learn to weave a web of knowledge. Our last strategy is all about making connections to ensure new facts have a place to stick in your brain. This final strategy is all about context. Your brain is terrible at remembering isolated, random facts. It's designed to remember things that are connected to what you already know. The more connections you can build between new information and your existing knowledge, the more mental hooks you create to retrieve it later. Memorizing a definition without context is like trying to hang a heavy coat on a bare, smooth wall. There's nothing for it to grip. You need to build a mental framework first. So, how do you create these connections? Start by interrogating the material. Don't just read the text, have a conversation with it. Ask, why is this important? How does this relate to what I learned last week? Where could I see a real-world example of this? This process, called elaboration, weaves new facts into your existing web of knowledge. Another powerful tool is the use of analogies and metaphors. Comparing the flow of electricity to water flowing through pipes makes abstract concepts feel concrete and intuitive. Finally, make it personal. If you're studying a historical event, imagine what you would have done in that situation. If you're learning a biological process, think about how it's happening inside your own body right now. Personal relevance turns dry facts into memorable stories. Let's bring it all together. You do not have a bad memory. You have a highly efficient brain that's running its default program to ditch information it thinks you don't need. But you are in control of that process. First, use spaced repetition to signal to your brain what's important by reviewing it over time. Second, practice active recall to build strong retrieval paths by constantly testing yourself. Third, use the Feynman technique to ensure you truly understand a concept by explaining it simply. And fourth, make meaningful connections by linking new ideas to what you already know. Stop working against your brain and start working with it. It's not about how many hours you put in, it's about how you put in those hours. By using these strategies, you can finally break the cycle of studying and forgetting and start building knowledge that lasts a lifetime. Which one of these techniques are you excited to try first? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear how it goes for you. And if you're ready to build a better brain, join our community of learners by subscribing for more science-backed strategies. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for your next brain bite.